Hi, I'm Jen with Growth University, and this is where startups come to grow. So every year, over 1 million startups are founded, and as you already know, the odds are stacked against them. Over 90% will fail. Meet Ella, founder of a SaaS company that's just crossed 1.1 million in ARR. This is a real client, but we obscured the name and photo for her privacy. Ella's company was well on their Series A path with 18 months of 15 to 20% monthly growth. 4 months ago, growth stalled, and now they're only growing at 2% a month. Funds are running low, and what looked like a sure bet round is now at major risk. Luckily, one of their investors puts them in touch with us for help. We onboard the client and they enter their core metrics, conversion metrics, and goals into our framework. Then, using our growth tools, the red flags are spotted. For this startup, it's improving the demo to closed 1%. It's spotted that every 1% increase in conversion rate equals a 5% increase in MRR. This can save the company, but where do they start? Ella's team starts with our experimentation framework. Each experiment weighted with a score to assess the time input versus value achieved. They get to work implementing immediately. And we help them through the implementation with our 15 plus courses, and our short form content library full of SOPs and videos is going live next week, ensuring founders have the best practice how to. After seeing the experimentation actions, Ella's investor had this to say: "This process solidified exactly what the team needs to focus on for growth. Without it, they'll likely run out of money." And Ella's not alone. Here's Dane from Improvi, who achieved a 400% increase in lead ratio, and cost per conversion dropped by 80% after our experimentation. And Chris, who's sharing his growth story publicly on Twitter, more than tripled his growth rate from 7 to 22% and has since reached over 40%. Alongside our growth platform and training, we provide companies like these unlocking growth with additional supports like our community of over 1,800 founders in Slack, events, and mentorship. We have members at every stage from early stage startup to Series C, and we practice what we preach. We use our own tools for growth and have crossed 28k in MRR, 338k in ARR, and growing 25% month over month. We're a subscription-based model with 3 tiers, and our ARPU and retention are both strong. We have a monthly retention of 95%, 6-month average at 57%, and a 12-month average of 46%. We've proven to be a must-have that founders turn to daily. Our competition is in career development, but what we do is bridge the gap between training and analytics by feeding the founder action items to resolve their metric issues and the learning asset they need to support and resolve it. We leverage experimentation to grow across 4 pillars: paid, organic, outbound, and partnerships. And our CAC to LTV ratio is strong, and our LTV has been growing rapidly, crossing 12k in estimated LTV recently. Just over 8,000 companies at $1,000 per month puts us on a 100 million run rate, which we'll hit in 2026. We have an amazing core team with deep startup experience and are supported by amazing advisors too. Thank you. I'm Jen with Growth University, and this is where startups come to grow.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, investor judges. Laurel, you're up next, please. Question for Jen.
Great story. I love data-driven founder coaching is kind of how I look at it. I'm just wondering who pays for this? Is it the VCs who are desperate to keep their companies alive before they crash and burn, or is it the founders themselves, and how much do they pay?
All right, thanks, Laurel. Mark.
Yeah, that was a great presentation. Who develops the content, and how do you make sure that the content is and feels relevant for the specific market the founder's in?
Thank you, Mark. Rachel.
Yeah, similar. What industries do you find that your product works the best for, and what does it not work for?
All right, thank you, Rachel. Back around to Andrea.
Excellent presentation. I was just sort of thinking, is there any, not to put you on the spot, but is there any integration with the launch companies? Will launch companies be able to use this going forward? And then I was also thinking, is there some sort of API or licensing model potential to also integrate with either Y Combinator, AngelList, or any of the other accelerator programs out there?
All right, terrific. Ready to tackle those, Jen? 2 minutes, please.
Perfect. So for the first question, who pays for this? It is typically the founder in this instance, but we have had a lot of interest from VCs and investors who want to put their portfolio through us, especially if they have companies that are struggling and they need to get back on track for growth. In terms of who develops the content and how we make it relevant to the founder. So myself and my co-founder Craig, who's on the call here as well, we have developed most of the content to date. We have outsourced content where we just weren't the industry expert. For example, my background is heavily in paid acquisition. I run the paid acquisition courses, but we outsource the SEO course, for example, because that's not our area of expertise, and we want to make sure that that standard is absolutely there. So we really vet anyone from the outside that comes in for content. In terms of making it relevant to the founder. So the growth models that we use, we have them across the various business types. So you have your subscription-based model, you have your advertising model, your e-commerce, your transactional model. So we develop it around the different models that come in. So some have a mixed, sometimes you'll have a subscription-based model with a little bit of e-commerce and a little bit of transactional. And that's the only point at the moment where we need to overlap some of those. But we're certainly working towards that as well. In terms of what industry works best, we found a lot of our clients are in the B2B space, works really well, especially with a longer lead time and things like that, where they have to retrospectively look backwards at metrics sometimes as well, and they just need a really good forward-looking growth model to go with it. So that works particularly well, subscription as well. In terms of integration with the launch companies, we're actually a spin out from launch. So the original Mastering Growth program, which was our first program, actually spun out of the launch ecosystem. So we will integrate with launch companies going forward. They use our growth models as their growth models looking forward. And in terms of our APIs and licensing, we're probably first and foremost going to look at the platforms like your Google and Facebook to integrate more effectively to get those metrics all in. My time is up, but if anyone has any additional questions, I'll follow up afterwards. Thank you.